I would like to give you a brief introduction to the immunohematology course. What are the expectations, how best to study, how the information is delivered. And so I'd like to start off with your schedule. Be sure and print that out and put it at the front of your notebook. It's your responsibility to be prepared for each lecture and each lab by reading the appropriate lab procedures or the material in your textbook and reviewing the PowerPoint. Then use your objectives. Once you've heard all the information, fill out your objectives so that you will have all the information necessary to study for a test in one area. This works best for most students, or some students would put them on flashcards. And to specifically address immunohematology, this is a fascinating area of study, and it is my personal favorite. The BB after my credentials stands for Blood Bank Specialist, and I'm not a specialist in blood bank, which is a master's degree, but I had 1 year full-time experience in the transfusion service, and I took an exam to prove that I knew more than most people about immunohematology. It's a specialty exam. So in immunohematology, we're going to start with donors and then components, because to me that's the beginning of the story. We could not do our job without having the components that we have obtained from a donor. So we're going to talk about all the donor requirements, all the uses for the different types of components that can be made. Then we're going to move to a review of immunology serology. Immunohematology, if we take it to its simplest form, we're looking for antibodies in serum or plasma. We're looking for antigens on cells. That's all we do all day long. Sounds pretty easy, right? Wrong. It's just one of the most difficult courses that is in the curriculum. And I think part of the problem is that you cannot see what's going on in the tube. From the moment you add serum and cells, I want you to visualize what's going on in that tube to where when you look at the end point, whether it's agglutination, no agglutination, or hemolysis, that you know what made that to be positive or negative. If I add a known antibody to an unknown cell, I'm looking for antigens. And if the test is positive, the antigen is present. If the test is negative, the antigen is not. So we will apply this theory throughout the course in many, many different ways, whether it's direct antiglobulin testing or compatibility testing or identification of antibodies. I mean, there is so much. Now, I'm going to teach you how to chunk the material because a lot of these concepts are really difficult to put your hands around, and there's so much. The best way for you to learn and retain the information is by chunking the information. And this will guide you in your studies once you get to where you need to take an exam. The moment that you start getting lost, make an appointment with your instructor, because each of the chapters, once we get into immunology and serology, are a building block on the next. And if you get lost in chapter 3, the chances of you understanding chapter 4 are probably none, because you need that information. And it's all about application of knowledge. What is reacting with what to give a positive result? And what does that mean in the overall picture? Does it mean this unit is compatible? Does it mean that this patient is type A? Does it mean this antibody screen is positive? So again, there are some basic tests that we do over and over, and you must know the purpose of each of those tests. And again, chunk your material. And I will help you do that throughout the course.